A TV show finally made this song, which the band had been playing for a few years, a hit song. Here's part 2 of our interview with Kurt Newman of the Beaudins.
For Closer to Free, because if I was told years ago, never asked that, but I'll leave it up to you to what you want to share with me about that tune.
Closer to Free was interesting because it was on a record 3 years before it ever became a hit. So it had been released as a second or third single off the record and really didn't do much on its own. It wasn't until the TV show Party of Five discovered it and tried it. They were trying several songs out for a theme song, and that one just worked best for them. And so we had been playing that song for a lot of years. You know, it was always a fun song to play, but when it all of a sudden years later took off on its own journey to be a hit, we were already used to, you know, having a good time with the song and playing it and making the most out of it. So it was just a natural thing. Again, it just happened on its own. And it's great in life when you're lucky enough to have stuff kind of come along and just do something like that, because it introduced us to, I think, a lot of people around the world that would have never heard us.
Soledad O'Brien, I mean, my God. Well, I know Kenny plays with you guys. Is he still with you? Kenny Arnoff?
He's not at the moment this summer because he's doing all kinds of like TV shows and other things like that. But he comes in and out of for like 27 years now. He's been in and out playing with us. So a lot of times he'll jump on, play some shows with us, and other times he goes off and has to do his own thing.
Did you start doing that because of COVID or anything like that? What was the catalyst and I'd love for you to do more of that, because I love that kind of stuff. I like musicians talking to musicians or interesting people, you know?
Yeah, my daughter asked me to do that because she was working in podcasts, and I didn't never think of doing a podcast, but going through school, I was not a kid who functioned in that system, and I didn't understand why we didn't have a system that dealt with kids' minds who work different, you know. And so I always wanted to talk about that, whether it was teach a course or whatever. And the podcast gives me a platform to talk about creativity in the world and just how important I think it is and how little we actually put any emphasis on it. It's mind-blowing to me. My kids in school, or when I was in school, nobody's mentioning creativity. I never heard it mentioned. They were like, shut your mouth. We don't want to hear your opinion. Read this book and learn this. And it's not a good system. It doesn't work. And if every day a kid was walking into school and a teacher was saying, like, what did you do creatively today? Or what are you going to do creatively? It didn't matter if they loved math or science or anything. It would still be a fuel for propelling all of that forward. And so the podcast is me pushing that message. Creativity is the fuel for everything in this world, and we need to emphasize that more. So I'm going to talk to people who have interesting creative stories, and I'm going to try and get that story out of them.
Well, with Closer to Free, and of course that became a theme of a big show, Party of Five, and again, pardon my ignorance. I know about the ranch, and I'm familiar with it. Have you done any other TV things?
Well, our songs have been in a lot of music, a lot of movies. You know, going way back to The Color of Money with Tom Cruise and Paul Newman. Still the Night was a big song in there. And, you know, we've had songs in movies like that throughout our career, but never to the point of that it was a theme song or to where a series said, look, I want you to write as much music as possible for this and we'll keep doing. That was certainly a new experience for me to be able to do that.
Well, by the way, how do you get a gig like the ranch? How does that present? I mean, do you go after it? Does it present itself? A little bit of both? How did that happen?
That one presented itself. I was just, one of the guys that plays in my band was on an airplane and he was talking about the Beaudins to someone who knew the producers of the ranch. And they were like, oh, here, you should call this guy. He loves your music. And so I called him and he's like, oh, please do as much music as possible. So it just I was lucky it came to me. And typically it's best when it works that way. It's hard to go out and get things that you really want. Very often you feel like I could do a great job with that, but you just can't convince somebody to give it to you. So it's hard.
Hope you enjoyed that. This is a 4-parter, and the entire interview, by the way, is on our sister site right now, Rock History Book. There are links in the description where you can check it out. Remember, if you want to support the channel, the 2 Ps, Patreon. You'll get early access. We have lots of stuff on there now to all our videos. As well, if you want to make a donation to Rock History Music, there's a PayPal link in the description as well. Make sure you comment on our videos. We love reading the comments. Subscribe to Rock History Music. Share our videos on social media. And of course, like our videos. It makes a big difference. This is John Beaudin, and this is Rock History Music.